Excellent. Well, thank you very much, fellow 1Ners and visitors. It's great to be here again today. So obviously today is my 10-minute insight. So mixing it up a little bit this time. The last few presentations I've made as I start the timer, I've done it on sort of some frequently asked questions that we get asked both on the pension side, the investment side, and the protection side. However, this time I thought I would focus purely on the pensions side of the business. As I say, it's one area I talk about quite a lot, so I thought I'd actually go into a bit more of a deep dive within 10 minutes, as deep as you can go within 10 minutes to give you an insight into that. So, what we're going to cover, what is a pension plan, what are the benefits of a pension plan, how you can take money from the pensions, my pension plan, the various fund choices and risk options that are available, is there any age restrictions, what's the tax-free cash implication, or situation, tax implications, and any death benefits. And if we've got a bit of time at the end, we can do some questions to get in. So, what is a pension plan? Well, a pension plan is essentially a way of putting money aside every month or lump sum, however you want to do it, on a regular or semi-regular basis from your income just now to plan for your retirement. I always describe retirement as hopefully the longest holiday you will ever have. Since COVID, I've described it hopefully as lockdown, but without the restrictions, because you don't have to work. But you don't want to be stuck in your house. And the best way to not be stuck in your house is to have a decent pension pot where you can go and have your 2 or 3 holidays a year. You can have your golf membership, your caravan, your yacht, whatever you want. But these things don't just come for free. You need to actually pay money for them. And the best way to do that is to put some money aside on either, as I say, a monthly basis while you're earning over a long period of time. And we're not talking 3, 5 years. We're talking 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, whatever it is, because it builds up over time. And that's the best way to do it. So a pension plan really is the best way to help you plan for your retirement. And what are the benefits? Well, there are several benefits to having a pension, especially starting it young. Obviously, the younger, the sooner you start it, you're giving yourself longer for that pension to grow and to have as big a pot as possible when it does come to retirement. But the main benefit of a pension, particularly when you're contributing to it, is what we call tax relief. Now, when I say tax relief, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about that in a minute, the tax relief comes from the government and what you put in. So your gross contribution and your net contribution are different. If you want to put in £100 to your pension pot from a personal, we're talking about a personal pension here. So let's say Vanessa Mary, because you're on screen at the moment, you want to put in £100 in your pension pot. It's not £100 that goes in, it's actually £125 that goes in because of the tax relief. So the government puts in that tax relief. And that's if you're a standard rate taxpayer. Obviously, you get more tax relief if you're a higher rate taxpayer because you have to apply for that, etc., and claim it back. But I don't want to say it's free money, but it kind of is because you're getting additional money going into your pension pot. Again, likewise, if you've got a business contribution and you're putting your money into your pension from your business, you're helping your employees or your employer, yourself, if you're paying it through your business, but you're actually also potentially reducing your corporation tax bill. Some people say, oh, how does that reduce my corporation tax bill? Because you're actually reducing the profits of the business whilst still getting the benefit of it. Because let's just say your business earns £100,000, as an easy number. If you then decide that you're going to put in £20,000 into contribution of a pension pot, by taking out the business at source and putting into pension, the profits of the business are actually down to 80 grand. So therefore, you're actually lowering your corporation tax bill. The money's still going into your pocket in the long run because it's going for your pension. So the money's not going out of the business elsewhere. It's still your money. It just means that it's in a slightly different area of the business because it's in your pension pot, but you're not paying tax on that, and you're getting tax relief from the growth. Now, okay, when it comes to taking money out, you pay the tax. But you cross that bridge when we get to it, and we'll discuss that in the next slide. So yeah, benefits are obviously planning for the future, but tax relief as well. And how do you take money from your pension? Well, as I say, when you come to retirement age, you've got 3 options really. You can take it as a lump sum, as a one-off. No, it's not something we would usually recommend because as much as you get 25% tax-free cash for your pension pot, so again, we'll just use £1 million, because everyone would love a pension pot, £1 million, you get £250,000 into your pocket from that tax-free, which is great. That's your 25% tax-free you've got. Of the remaining £750,000, you have to pay tax on that. And the reason you pay tax on the pension, whereas you don't pay tax on an ISA, is because you get the tax relief going into the pension. So you get the additional money going in, you get the growth, but then you've got to pay the tax when you take it out. For example, in an ISA, if you want to put £100 into an ISA, it's only £100 that goes in. Whereas I said with the pension, if you put £100 in, it's actually 125. So you're getting more money to grow once it's in, and that's why you pay the tax coming out. So yeah, you can take the one-off lump sum. You can go into what we call drawdown, which is the most popular option. And we get into drawdown, it means that you're more than likely going to be transferring funds from an accumulation style fund to a decumulation fund, which is a lower risk. You then take out a regular monthly contribution, monthly salary, essentially from your pension, which you could be taxed at after 25%. But if you want to take out more on a one-off basis because you're building an extension, you're going on a holiday to Australia, whatever it is, that's an option as well, because the pension fund, the pot is still there. It will just be going down over time because you're now going to, as we say, drawdown and decumulation. But that is there, and that's why an IFA is there to manage that, so you don't run out of money before you die. Because we do things called cash flow modelling, and we work out what hopefully the markets are going to be like and how your funds should and aim to perform so that they will last the same period of time with you. The third option, which is probably not as common now as it used to be, is what we call buying an annuity. And with buying an annuity, you could take your 25% tax-free cash, that's fine. You see, again, call it £1 million, take your 250 grand tax-free cash, that's not a problem. With the remaining £750,000, what you do is you buy this annuity. You take that money and you're essentially giving it to said provider, whether it be Aviva, Royal London, Standard Life, there's so many out there. They then take that and they provide you with an annuity, which is a guaranteed income for life. And the annuity rates depend on how big your fund is and what you're buying. And you can protect it with for a guaranteed payment of 10 years. I'll come into that in a second because, as I said, it is a guaranteed income for life. But if you die 2 years after taking out that annuity, the insurance company is essentially won because they still get all the money. If you live to 110, you win because they've not banked on people living that long, so therefore they're paying it longer. And that's why I then mentioned that we get what you call a protected annuity for, say, 10 years. And it means that if you die within the first 10 years of the annuity, it will still pay out for the remaining time up to that 10 year to your named beneficiary. So your husband or your wife would still receive that income up to that 10 years. There's different levels of protection you can get, but obviously, the more you protect it, then you pay more for the annuity, which means you essentially get less on a monthly basis. They're not as common as they used to be, but they are still a pretty popular option. The main benefit of them is there is no fund value, so you will never run out of money. The drawback is there is no pot of money, so if you do want to go on that holiday to Australia or build the extension, you don't have that luxury pot to dig out extra money from. But as I say, everything's got pros and cons, and it's how you manage it on an individual basis, what's suited to you. Spoke very briefly about fund choices. You can see here there's an option risk 4 and an option risk 9. 9 is obviously very high, not obvious. 9 is very high risk. 4 is a lot more conservative. You can see that they both go back to June 2017. The MAP's performance follows the same pattern, but you can see the percentage cumulative growth on the OR9 is much higher. So the top of it is growing 170%, whereas in option 4, the risk 4 is only growing 35%. I say only, that's still pretty good. But on the flip side, you look at the drops are much higher on the level 9 than they would be on a 4. So it goes and swings around, but you get the high growth, but you get a high loss potential as well. Just because you're in a higher risk doesn't mean it's going to perform better than the lower risk stuff, because it's what proportions are within each fund. And if the low risk stuff actually outperforms the high risk stuff, as we had with a client 3 or 4 months ago, she was a level 3, he was a 7. Her fund had actually grown more over the past 12 months because the low risk stuff had grown, the high risk stuff had dropped. And he had a lot more high risk and very little amounts of low risk, which she had a huge proportion of low risk, meaning that she actually had better growth over the long term. And once they understood that, that was fine. As I say, that's just an example of some risk profilers. Age restrictions, there's no age, unlike an ISA where you've got a junior ISA, there's no age restriction on a pension. You can start it for your children at whatever age you want. Obviously, when it comes to 18, they're in full control of it. and you cannot access the money until you're 55, although that's going to be going up in a couple of years' time. The minimum access age will go up to 57, 58, but there is no age limit when you can start your pension. And again, that's just tight of time now, but that's a quick example of the top rate tax rates. Again, so if you put an £80 tax lease, it's £20. I said £100, it's £25. It's the same numbers. Again, if you're a higher rate taxpayer, £60, £40 tax relief. And if you're a top rate taxpayer, 55 to 45, you automatically get the 20% tax relief you've got to claim for the additional tax relief. But that's what your accountant helps you with. And then last but not least, death benefits. Someone asked me yesterday even, what happens to my pension fund if I die? Well, if you die before the age of 75, it transfers to your named beneficiary, 100% tax-free. If you die over the age of 75, they will be taxed on it, but they can still take the pension. So the pension doesn't die with you. Funds will transfer to your named beneficiary, which is done when you set up the pension. And that can get changed because you might go through a divorce, you might change who you want to go to. The named beneficiary might die before you. So say if you die before 75, the named beneficiary gets it all with no tax charges. And they can take it out either as a lump sum or a pension or a little bit of both. And that's one of the benefits again of pensions. So just a couple of testimonials. You conduct yourself in your business in ways friendly but not informal, that inspire confidence in your abilities and your integrity. That's from John, who's up Kyle. Another John, who's based in Strathblane, says, we find you to be a good communicator, patiently dealing with the questions and helping us to understand the background of your recommendations, where we naturally are prone to be inaction or to be sceptical. Robin over in Clarkson says, people rely upon you for independent professional sound advice. And Alan, who's in Glasgow, said we provide an excellent service, trustworthy and easy to understand. We've got far more testimonies available on the website if anyone wants a further look at any of them. Thank you very much for listening. I know I've been over time by a minute. So Andrew from ABFM, who allow you to live for today and plan for tomorrow. And thanks for listening.